To the Coalition, I hope you get this. I can't disagree that 2.0 had some issues not previously mentioned. The reason why 2.0 receives a lot of positive feedback is because of the overall freedom and speed to do what you want and when you want to do it in comparison to what we previously had before it had arrived. It only lasted approximately a week, however. And why is that? Well, there was a problem detected that ultimately led to the discussion of precise movement. This came about because given the nature of how the cards played out, this led to a lot of sporadic and spontaneous rewards for doing things that would ultimately be punishable, or should have been punishable, but would often result in reward. In an attempt to balance these problems, we've seen 2.1 through 2.7, which ultimately aim to focus balancing the game and the ability for multiple playstyles to have equivalent effectiveness. I'm here to tell you today that while we have 2.8 and we're headed in the right direction, 2.8 is not the solution. If we want the game that will sustain itself, if we want the game that's balanced, the added mechanical features such as cooldown and slip distances must be limited to that in which is controlled solely by the user. If the game did not have the restrictions on how fast you can slide to a wall or how fast you could cancel a wall, it would come about how infrequent it is for a player to effectively use these mechanics to the point where there's an advantage. In order to have such an advantage, it would require more precision and more skill. Additionally, if not precisely performed, it would have far more consequences than reward. Therefore, playing aggressively would then require more calculation from the player using this playstyle. And given how I play, it's quite noticeable that I have no problem moving around. The problem that I do have is that it's far too easy to move around the way that I do. In comparison to other Gears of War games such as Gears of War 3, I'm significantly less conscientious of how I move around because this game almost, in a sense, not only has an auto aim but an auto bounce. With the cooldown and decreased timing and mechanics going to a wall, not to mention the areas of walls that are almost impossible not to hit, it makes the need to handicap bouncing. The strangest philosophy I've ever experienced in a game occurred in 2.8. You can't regain health while moving. And this is odd. This is political. This is stupidity. Not because of the philosophy, though, because it genuinely shows that the Coalition simply doesn't know how to fix this problem, what has already been shown as the solution in Gears of War 3. In order for there to be a successful Gears of War 5, there has to be changes that ultimately lead to what is being promoted. Allow players to play how they want to play. Do not assist players in what they can't do, instead force players to learn how to play. The small learning curve experience from day one in Gears of War 4 has been marked as the first and last day. 2.8 and furthermore 2.9 could be the answer if these changes could be made that would require players to not only be more precise with their shotguns as they fixed in 2.8, but movement, hopefully in 2.9. We could see a future of Gears of War 4 multiplayer if these changes are made. And if these changes were made, it would ultimately make this game more fun to play, more fun to watch, and overall, in all aspects, would be far more competitive. It's sad to believe that we've actually split the game into core and competitive, and have done this for months of changing and months of investigations to ultimately reach a conclusion that has been long made before. But perhaps that's why we started at 2.0, so eventually we've reached 3, or otherwise known as what actually already worked for over 5 years. Be sure to drop a comment as I see this video and the comments to be only contributions towards what the future of this game holds. If you can understand where I'm coming from, it would be greatly appreciated that you drop those comments, because it really means a lot to me for anyone out there that actually understands what I'm saying. Because while you might be newer to the game and think, wow, dude, there's no way what you're doing is difficult, and I'm trying to reach that point in my gameplay, I promise you that this is easier than it's ever been before, and that's why I'm bored to play. And I continued to play Gears of War 3 for so long just because of those mechanical features that made it difficult. And one day, not far from now, you're going to reach that point in your gameplay that you're bored, and it's going to happen a lot quicker than it would have had these restrictions been removed from the game. And ultimately, that's why I say that this game will not sustain itself, and the competitive nature of the game will remain split, just because they can't figure out the solution that was already made years ago. And it just is very odd to me to see how you can miss this. But I don't know, maybe it's not missed. What do you think? Thank you for watching. This is GSQ Sub Evo signing out.